This episode is brought to you by Vinyl Me Please, a vinyl record of the month club where every month they feature one album that's essential to every vinyl connoisseur's collection and send it to thousands of members worldwide. Each box includes special edition vinyl you won't find anywhere else. And this month's record of the month is Moses Subney's debut album, Aromanticism, which includes a custom lyric book, some exclusive artwork, and a vinyl-only bonus track. So upgrade your life and hit up joinvmp.com/extraordinary and get you some of this dope-ass vinyl.
And also, we're happy to announce our official partnership with TuneIn, where you can listen to every new episode of our show a full week early exclusively on their app. Nope, not on iTunes, not on SoundCloud, not anywhere else. We're waving that TuneIn flag over here. So if you want to skip the line, get the jump on every single new episode, download the TuneIn app, not now, but right now, so you can receive your beautiful black ass blessing. And for more info on all things extraordinary, hit up tunein.com/The Extraordinary Negroes. Let's get it.
I might start a war for the dick. Kim Jong make him say for the dick. Rocket Man? Cancel HBO for the dick.
Don't you got a show?
Bitch, not no more for the dick. Hey, skip to my loo for the dick. Oh, you brought your friends. Guess it's choo-choo for the dick.
That's a prank.
I'll drop my phone for the dick. Did the screenshot? Fuck. Got a new phone for the dick.
And welcome to the latest installment of the Extraordinary Negroes. We're back. This is your boy Jay Connor.
And I'm still Alex Hardy.
And before we get started, we want to take a moment to send some love and light to everyone affected by the mass shooting in Las Vegas on Sunday night. That whole situation is bananas, and it just hurts to see, you know, the country and the city hurt and you know, just dealing with this situation. So it's a lot. But what you been up to, black man?
Man, really just trying to stay alive out here. I'm coming out of the roughest of rough patches, and I'm trying to, you know, get my mojo back out here. I'm kind of rolling out the Get Some Joy project. So go GetSomeJoy.com is live. It's a kind of mental health awareness campaign for Black and brown folks with events and content and all that stuff. So hit up the website and see how you can get involved there. Writing regularly again. Got a couple assignments working on this week, finally. Got something coming out for St. Heron, something for Cassis, something for Vice, and something for Very Smart Brothers coming out. And yeah, it's trying to get back in the game here, getting ready for another wonderful season of Queen Sugar. I'm trying to live my black ass life out here like it's golden.
Word.
Did a couple panels recently too. Yeah, was at the Here Are All the Black People, like a career fair. Was on a dope panel about Black Twitter and social media. And yeah, trying to keep it bopping out here. How about you?
Yeah, man, just staying busy. I wrote a thing or seven. I think the most recent one that's publicly accessible is on Afropunk. So often we hear people talk about, you know, the umbrella of mental health, but, you know, conversations centering anxiety specifically don't really occur as often as they should. So I decided to write about it. So make sure y'all check that out. As far as, you know, discussing anxiety within the Black community. I also have some other things that are in the pipeline that I'm not at liberty to disclose because they're top secret. Also, I hopped on a few podcasts. I think one of the favorites that everybody checked out was Podcast Junkies. That one did really well. So if you haven't listened to that yet and you would like a little bit more insight into the mind of Jay Connor, definitely make sure you check out that Podcast Junkies interview. It probably is the best one that I've done. But I was also on, I forgot the name of that one. Mara, Don't Kill Me. Fuck, I forgot the name of that podcast. I'm going to have to get that information back to y'all. But yeah, I hopped on a few podcasts, stayed busy, stay working. But I think the biggest thing that I did with this hiatus, outside of, you know, power through these insecure recaps, is I had to heal up, man. I was in a really bad place mentally, physically, emotionally, just really going through a lot, really trying to stay afloat out here, damn near killing myself, just working too hard, doing too much, and just really trying to work my way back to feeling like a human being again. So I am on the road to recovery. So
are you eating full meals? Have you eaten?
Yeah, that was another thing. I lost a bunch of weight apparently from stress. I had a doctor's appointment last week, and I lost a lot of weight as well. So
wow.
Yeah, just too much stress, too much work, not enough balance. So I have been
About to hit
prescribed
you with those text reminders to eat.
really though. So I'm trying to be better at just, maintaining my health, just working less, trying to have more of a balance. So
What did you learn talking on other people's podcasts outside, going on to Beyond the Extraordinary Negroes and making your rounds on the shit, like getting popping and all the people with different formats and different audiences?
I think one of the things that I learned was that people really value, I think it's one thing whenever you create a show and you can see numbers and you see thousands of people that fuck with what you do. But I think it's another thing to have like actual conversations that resonate with people. And, it's always nice to see like the social media feedback on things we do, because, a lot of times being in this podcast space, unless we're doing like a panel or, speaking engagements and stuff like that, we don't really get a lot of interaction. So it's always dope to do that. But, yeah, it's dope that people value our platform and value what it is that we do. And, speaking of that, speaking of using our platform, I want to, help a black or brown owned business out there. So I am giving away 2 tickets to the Black and Brown Founders Project in Philly on October 9th and 10th. All you got to do is shoot me an email at theextraordinarynegroes@gmail.com. Tell me a little bit about your business and tell me how attending will help your business. That's it. That's all you got to do. So hit me up because I want to see you flourish. Super easy. That's all you got to do. So, and make sure that if you hit me up that you can get out to Philly if you're not already based out there. It's October 9th and 10th. So hit me up ASAP.
And you don't get free shit that often in this economy, so hit us up.
Seriously, especially from a black person.
Right.
Also, I want to take a moment to shout out everyone who's been hitting us up on iTunes with reviews. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Every time we get a review, it's like Christmas morning. So it was like Christmas morning, so we want to make sure that we spread some love on that. So
here's one of the latest ones. This one comes from Soul Promise. They said, one of the best podcasts, informative in an interesting and accessible way, conversational without rambling, and keep it real. Like hanging out with friends. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you.
Word, shout out to being like your friends. You must have some dope ass friends that they remind you of us. That's real.
Got good taste in friends.
Shout out to your friends. Let us know if we can borrow them sometime. Indiglow, they said, sweet to hear men talk about Insecure. Had fun listening to your conversation and enjoy your vibe. Nice chemistry. Thank you very much, Indigo.
Shout out to Indigo.
Or Indiglow, my bad. So yeah.
Indiglow, boom.
Thanks again for the love. If you fuck with the show, drop us a review too, because we love to hear from you. Shall we get this party started?
Let's do it.
All right. Now, allegedly, football is back. I say allegedly because I would know. I've been boycotting this shit, but it's now in its 4th week. The NFL season has been marred by whiny, quote unquote, patriots, bad ratings, and boycotts coming from all sides. All because Colin Kaepernick and his merry band of insolent niggers decided to kneel in protest during the national anthem in order to raise awareness of inequality and police brutality. And when I tell you white people are pissed, listen, white people are pissed.
I mean, it's so disrespectful to the veterans, everybody else. And the media is like, well, they've got free speech. That's right. We've got free speech to call you dirtbags. You can find somebody for cussing on the field or spiking a football. But, the owners can't say when you're doing a sport for the fans, don't piss all over the flag.
That these ungrateful millionaire crybabies are using their platform to hold a mirror up to America. However, y'all's favorite president, 45, used his little ass hands to pry open his big ass mouth, not to only bitch and moan about Cap and company exercising their First Amendment rights, but to call out the NFL owners for not keeping their pet Negroes in check.
He's going to say, that guy that disrespects our flag, he's fired. And that owner, they don't know it. They don't know it. They're friends of mine, many of them. They don't know it. They'll be the most popular person for a week. They'll be the most popular person in this country because that's a total disrespect of our heritage. That's a total disrespect of everything that we stand for, okay? Everything that we stand for.
Which, of course, led to a new rash of demonstrations and protests in direct defiance of Trump's regime. Which begs the question, how do you feel about Colin Kaepernick's original message being lost and diluted in all of this bullshit?
Well, firstly, I feel like I knew it would come to this. Eventually I knew they were going to have to find a way to put a prettier bow on this. It was something that didn't look like it was going to be stopping anytime soon. So they figured they would join in and all lives matter the situation.
Man.
I think it's super corny that the original idea, though he's been very explicit about, that this is not about cops. This is not about the flag. This is not about the troops, rather. This is not about the flag. This is not about, disrespecting people who served. This is about bringing attention to an issue that still they are not discussing. So I just think that every instance of, them locking arms in faux unity and somebody taking a knee or, taking a knee before the anthem and taking a knee in the locker room and standing during the, like, whatever the hell they're doing. It's all corny. And they definitely all lost sight of the original point of the protest. We are definitely now reacting to the reactions of what is happening and, how this makes people feel on a personal level. And it's whack. They missed the point.
You know what this is? This is like your grandma makes like banging ass mac and cheese, right? She got the illest recipe in life. She hands it to your mom, right? Your mom hands it to her friend. Her friend hands it to her friend. Her friend hands it to her daughter. About 8 people down the line, it finally gets to you. Do you think it's going to be the same recipe?
It's going to be trash.
So this is basically, what's going on. It's just a matter of like, Colin was extremely well spoken. He was very direct in his message, like Alex said. And, white folks literally said, okay, we hear what you're saying, but we don't appreciate the manner in which it's being disseminated, in which you're sharing this message. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore this message until you disseminate it in a manner in which we're comfortable with. That's literally what happened.
But there is no right way. That's the other issue.
Well, not even the fact that there's not a right way. The other issue is the fact that, you got all these all lives matter demonstrations. Like, until somebody explains to me otherwise what the fuck it means when you stand with your coaches of all colors, of all ethnicities, who have been very vocal in opposition of the protest, but are willing to, lock arms. That tells me it's an all lives matter demonstration until proven otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Like, There's no other way for me to interpret it. But yeah, I think it's fucked up that Colin's original message is getting diluted in it. And I also think it's whack as fuck that, all these other players who are being, like Michael Bennett and whoever else that are actively keeping that vision and that, original protest alive. They're making it more easy and digestible for everybody else to an extent. But meanwhile, Colin's still being blacklisted. So, I mean, it's like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Y'all got beef when Trump got something to say, and now y'all want to co-opt shit. And this whole like kneeling before the anthem, but standing for it. Like, what the fuck is that shit?
It's stupid. Who are you trying to please?
Yo, and then you got fucking Ray Lewis's coon ass.
Oh gosh,
Mr. Two Knees, Mr.
What was it? Coon. What was they calling him? Coon opportunist.
Coon opportunist, something like that.
Oh damn!
I know it was a good one because Black Twitter.
It was fucking amazing.
Black Twitter never disappoints. But yeah, it's just whack, man. Like if either you're gonna stand up for something or you're not. Leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be wasting people's time. Don't be doing all this other bullshit because it's completely detracting from the original message. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's just whack. Last year they were bashing him for the exact same
shit. So it's like, as much as people are out here saying, "Oh, I'm just tired of this shit," we're tired of living this shit. So either, you know what I'm saying? If you that annoyed, then do something about it. It's really that simple. You know what I'm saying? So either you perpetuate racism, you benefit from racism, or you're doing something in opposition of it. It's really that simple.
What have you been filling that football space with?
Hiking. Been doing a lot of hiking. Actually, I think it's been very easy for me to fill that void because football is such a huge part of my life. It's been easy for me because I've gone out my way not to, involve myself in it. As far as I haven't been reading articles on it. I haven't been reading box scores. I haven't been watching the games. I haven't been watching like sports shows. Like to me, it just still feels like the off season. And thankfully the NBA season is about to come around. So that's another distraction. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of hiking, hanging out, with my homeboy and just really kind of like processing everything that's been going on. Shout out to my homeboy Jazz. Yeah, that's kind of been like our Sunday morning ritual, instead of football.
That's good. I feel like a lot of people, like, I always wondered, you're not watching it actively, but you're still, following along, reading the stories, retweeting the videos, watching the recaps, shit. Like, people are still kind of participating from afar.
Yeah. And I mean, I've always said, whether you decide to participate or not, I don't give a fuck. You're grown. You know what I'm saying? But right. For me personally, I just made, as I said in a previous episode, I made a conscious decision not to support for the reasons that I previously stated. You can go back and listen to that episode and find out why that is. But Patreon.
Shout out
Yo,
to
let's, why is it important that, well, first and foremost, we need to give a shout out to Natasha Chisness. Please don't kill us for butchering your last name.
Sorry.
Race Baiter, shout out to Hari over there. Jane King, J Cleveland Payne, Latricia Lake, all y'all came through, put a little extra in our, put a little change in our collection plate. So we appreciate y'all with the Patreon support. And could you tell the beautiful people at home why Patreon is important to independent entities such as ourselves?
Patreon is a way for you, lovely listeners and consumers of this Black excellence you are hearing in your ear right now, to support our endeavors and kind of help us keep this party going, help us keep the lights on, keep the site up, keep all the monthly expenditures in check, so we can continue being great out here and not stress about upkeep and maintenance, and function and be great and operating in an independent space, producing quality material. And now we want to be able to keep doing that. So you are able to do that by going to patreon.com/The Extraordinary Negroes, and it'll tell you all about the wonderful ways you can support us.
Yes. Make sure you go check that out, because we need these dollars. Niggas got bills. And as a direct... go ahead.
If you don't, you're a racist. I'm just
pretty much. So, yeah, it's just a matter of... we got bills, we got expenses. In part, thanks to this new wave of Patreon pledges, we're going to be able to purchase a scheduling program so that we can all be on point. So, good looking out on that. And as far as our last episode, way back once upon a time, with Mr. Marlon Peterson, what was the feedback you heard in regards to that episode?
I had a friend. So for those who didn't listen, we had Marlon Peterson, who's a prison reform and abolition advocate. He shared his story about his incarceration, and I had a friend she was deeply, deeply, deeply affected by the Khalif Browder story. We both watched the documentary. I forget what network did it, but
FX.
She was just really FX. She was really just moved by his candor. And just really impressed to see how someone who was incarcerated for so long was able to come back and do such great things with their life, given especially how the system is set up for us to fail and not prosper and, just not thrive. And so, yeah, just the people who heard it were just glad to see Marlon out here shining and reaching back and helping those people who are where he was, and to help their experience be better and help them transition out of that back into society.
Have you seen Marlon's Instagram account? That nigga's living his best life, man. Shout out to Marlon, yo. 1 second he's playing like steel drums and shit. Next second he's like, out here on the streets with a bullhorn, out here fighting for Marlon's out here doing it, man. Shout out to Marlon. I heard a lot of positive things about that episode, much to, Alex's point. People just loved that he was able to bounce back and just provide such a positive influence on his community. So often we hear about how prison fails to rehabilitate criminals, and to see his passion, to be an contributor to society is just really dope, and that he's, facilitating methods and means to do that for other people. So shout out to Marlon.
You the best, Marlon.
And who we got coming on this episode, Mr. Hardy?
On today's episode, we're going to be talking with groundbreaking director extraordinaire Cheryl Dunye. We're going to be talking about her historical film, The Watermelon Woman from 1996. And we're going to be talking about her career as a trailblazing queer Black woman who has opened a lot of doors for people and, led to her getting it popping on Queen Sugar this upcoming season. We're going to talk to her about the couple episodes that she directed and what more we can expect from her and the show.
And because I got to know, I'm going to ask her, who her favorite character is, because I'm nosy. You know what I'm saying?
I know who mine is.
You know what I'm saying? Every father or parent has their favorite child. They just don't want to admit it publicly. So,
that must be hard.
Thankfully, I only got one. But before we get into that, let's get into some motherfucking shrimp and grits.
It's the questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. It's the questions. Come on. The questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. It's the questions. Yeah. The questions.
Gary asks, where do you see the Extraordinary Negroes a year from now?
I see the Extraordinary Negroes as a multi-million-dollar empire. That was an easy question. There's no reason why it can't eventually become a multi-million-dollar empire. No, I just see it as continuing to grow and blossom, continuing to leave a positive impact on, the rest of the digital diaspora, as I like to call it. I think one of the beautiful things is that about Extraordinary Negroes is that it's a synthesis of Alex and I's interests. Obviously, there's things that we're interested in collaboratively, but there's also things that we do outside of that, whether it's, the get some joy stuff or, whether it's a lot of the screenwriting or, entertainment industry stuff that I do or stuff centered around, kids or altruism. So yeah, I think, we just continue to build and, become bigger, get some more of a financial backing so that we can achieve, bigger goals and things like that. This is a terrible answer, but yeah, that's, that's pretty much it. What about you?
Okay. Altruism.
I'm out here.
Right. You read good. I think that in a year, I would love to see Extraordinary Negroes like you said, continue to grow and blossom, but just to continue to be able to provide a space for just dope Black folks to get their stories told or to share their abilities, whether it be writing or, through film or photography or, sharing the work that you're doing for some initiative that's impacting your local community or that, that's trying to positively affect the lives of others and just like letting people know about the other dope Black people out here doing dope shit. And I think we've been off to a really good start. And, like you said, financial backing to make everything a little less stressful. Yeah. Just continue to just be our whole entire Black ass selves. Like do more of what we did at South by Southwest. Just be Black as fuck regardless of where we are. And I'm excited to see
that was legendary. If you haven't heard that episode, I highly recommend that you listen to our live episode of South by Southwest. It doesn't include the faces of people in the crowd and some of them walking out in horror at some of the things we said. But it was a great crowd, great turnout, great energy, great experience. But yeah, that was a much better answer than I gave. So shout out to you. Cause I definitely think that one of the things we pride ourselves on is that, we're big advocates of the unheralded, the unsung, the underdogs. You know what I mean? You see a lot of shows and you see a lot of the same guests doing their media rounds and stuff like that. And there's sometimes when there's people that might be doing those and I'm interested in it, but I'd much rather, to Alex's point, focus on people who are doing really dope shit in their communities and they're just not getting their due. You know what I mean? Those are the people that we want to give a voice to. And I feel like we've done a good job of that. And we want to continue to do that and amplify it and do it on an even bigger stage through our website and through other means and methods and mechanisms that we have at our disposal.
Ta-da.
Damn, thank you for cleaning up my answer. Anonymous asks, if you were a professional athlete, would you kneel for the national anthem? Ooh, you trying to start some shit early.
Yeah, I would. I can't say that I would have been the first to have the idea like Colin said, I'm going to kneel for the anthem. But I just think that, seeing what it represents and the message that it sends, especially if, he's proving a good point. He's getting a reaction out of people, regardless of what the reaction is. Some people are at least having that conversation. I think it's, if that's the way that they can assert their position, without being disruptive or, whipping their dick out or doing something, ridiculous to protest the flag or being vulgar or some shit. If that's what you got to do to get your message across, do it. I think I would.
I think I know I operate from a different space in part because I'm the guy that people keep swearing is so offended by all this shit because I'm a military veteran. So my experience was different because growing up, much like Cap, I never really felt like the Pledge of Allegiance or national anthem pertained to me. It was my own personal interpretation of how, I perceived those lyrics. I just never felt like it. Mm-hmm. I would hear this song and then I'd go walk outside and have an entirely different experience. So I never felt like it pertained to me. So whenever I went into the military, it was difficult for me to be in a position in which I was required to salute every single fucking time I heard this song. So to go from being a civilian to being a military member, and you're supposed to have this respect and this relationship with this song, knowing, you know, its history and knowing, you know, kind of like, you know, the third stanza and all this other stuff. And then you go fight for your country so that you can defend people's rights and all these things. And then you come back home and you get treated like shit by, you know, people, you know, still calling you a nigger, still spitting. I mean, I had people spit on me in my uniform after I came home. So, I mean, to that, it just kind of reaffirmed the fact that, like, okay, like, fuck this anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bullshit. You know what I mean? It's just like, if you're a person of color, you're always going to feel marginalized on some level, some degree. And even if you don't directly feel marginalized, you're going to be suppressed. You're not going to have the same freedoms and liberties of other people that looks nothing like you from the dominant culture. So I've always had this kind of adverse reaction to this song. So to see that this become a thing now, and I mean, like, even as an adult, even after I served, I still would, it's like, to me, it's like when people pray, right? I'm not a Christian.
Yeah.
When y'all pray, that's y'all thing. I will sit there in silence and I'll give y'all your space, but I'm not closing my eyes. I'm not participating in the shit. I'm just posted up quiet while y'all pray, because that's out of respect for what it is you're doing. And I felt the same way about the anthem. It's like, if that's something that's meaningful to you, cool, but it's not my thing. I'm not, you know, putting my hand on my chest. I'm not doing none of that shit. So to see that it's became this big thing, my answer might surprise you, because I don't think that I would have kneeled, just because I've always been kind of blah about the national anthem anyway. Why would I go out my way to demonstrate some kind of, you know, protest or anything like that specifically to the song? I still think I would just stand there and twiddle my thumbs or whatever, like I've been doing for the last, you know, 30 plus years. That being said, once I saw the way that Cap was treated as a direct response to this protest, then I believe I would probably start doing it. Because now it's like, oh, okay, it's on. We're drawing a line in the sand. Either you're over here or you're not. You know what I'm saying? Because this person's being penalized for raising awareness about very real issues that pertain to black people and brown people as well. You know what I'm saying? As far as racism, as far as inequality, as far as police brutality, these are all very real things. So it's like, if this person is going to get blackballed from the league because he's standing up for my rights, who the fuck am I not to stand with him?
Yeah, now you have other people losing their you know, endorsements, and people's parents getting, you know, being affected with losing contracts just because their children are demonstrating. And still people are very much skirting the original issue of concern. Still not having that conversation, you know, and of course just proving there is and will never be a right way for black folks to protest or voice their discomfort, or, you know, to say that shit is fucked up. There will never be a right way. You can't do it violently, you can't do it quietly, or not sitting, standing. Like, there will never be a right way. So,
and the illest thing is that, like, the kneel is the compromise. Like, he was doing something entirely, he was doing something entirely different. He was just chilling, and then when it became a thing, you know, he had his little conversations with the power that be, and he was like, all right, I'm not gonna stand for this shit, but I'll kneel. You know what I'm saying? Like, the kneel was the compromise, since they wouldn't have originally just let the guy rock. So that's where I stand on it. But yeah, if you have thank you for that question. That was a dope question. But if you guys have any other colorful, creative questions for Alex and myself, please shoot them over to theextraordinarynegroes@gmail.com, and we will answer them on our show. But before we get to our interview with Miss Cheryl Dunye, let's pay these bills.
Yo, if you are in the market for an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price with just the right amount of sink and bounce, Casper's got you. They pride themselves on being not only the most awarded mattress of the decade, but they combine latex and memory foam to provide you with all the good sleep you deserve with your pretty self. And with their free shipping and 100-day risk-free trial and return policy, why not give it a try? So hit up CasperTrial.com/extraordinary and get $50 off your next mattress.
Word. So, yeah, shout out to Casper. And you ready to hit this interview?
Let's
All
go.
right, let's do it.
She made history in 1996 with The Watermelon Woman, becoming the first black lesbian to direct a feature film. The Teddy Award-winning film was also the first feature about black lesbians, and she later directed the HBO-produced movie Stranger Inside, My Baby's Daddy, and The Owls. Dunye is also an assistant professor of cinema at San Francisco State and the recipient of the prestigious 2016 John Simon Guggenheim Memorial Foundation Fellowship. And she's here today in all her melanated splendor to talk about her fabulous life. So, saints and ain'ts, Cheryl Dunye.
Thank you, thank you. That was such a warm and wonderful presentation. When you laid out like that, I have done stuff. It's exciting.
Yeah, you popping.
I've done a little this and that, right?
You out here,
yeah. Yeah. So first of all, thank you again for you taking some time. I know it's earlier out there than it is over here, but before we get started, we must know, how would you rate your self-care at the moment on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say an 8.5 right now. I really am. I go to the gym every other day. When I get off, I'll go.
Oh.
I try to do a sport at my gym. The Oakland Y is amazing. I feel like it's this public space, and there are all types of bodies taking care of themselves. So I go there even just I go there 2 hours a day when I do go, because it's like has a sauna and a hot tub, and I just go, so I'm really taking care of my body right now. And I'm trying to live in the present. I'm trying to live in abundance. So I feel like my mental health is doing quite well. So yeah, I feel pretty even Steven. I mean, I know I could do a few other things, and that's why I gave it an 8.5.
What would you attribute your supreme mental health and well-being to? Is there anything specifically? Is there a specific regimen you abide by, or is it a mentality, or what specifically would you attribute that to?
Probably a mentality. When you're not in your right mind, when you're out of your right mind and righteousness, your own power, that's when your body fails. Or, you start eating, or you start drinking, or, not taking care of yourself. You're out of your mind. I love that the expression that we have co-opted it and said it, in such ways. But probably those individuals who are out of their mind, when you go, girl, you out of your mind. They are they're not right-minded and bodied, So I definitely believe in that. And I also believe in not carrying suitcases of burden around, work on it, or, and then move on. You know what I'm saying? So I really am trying not to carry my suitcases anymore, and to stay really focused.
Bag lady, you gonna hurt your back. Yeah, I completely.
How many of emotion, past relationships, parents, I didn't show up, whatever, this and that. I'm trying to, family matters, everything. Do we carry around,
Yeah. We're nosy, so we want to know what it is that you've been watching as of late, as far as television, as far as film. What's been keeping you occupied?
Well, of course, I have to say Queen Sugar, because I was a director on that. So,
Were you?
Yes, I was. That was really fun. And my new episode is coming out. I did 2 during the second season. It's on October 11th after the premiere.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm quite excited about that. So, and I also am going off to direct another show called The Fosters, which is Freeform. So I'm watching a lot of The Fosters.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I've gone through all the Insecure, Atlanta. I try to pop in a few movies in there, and I think we forget about movies, and we get, this is an episodic moment. So I really do. I have this thing called Fandor, which goes into a deep archive of documentary and foreign films. And some of the new acquisitions are we should be watching all cinemas, for storytelling, right? And it could be, rapping, it could be, singing, it could be dancing, whatever. I mean, it could be, of course, writing, and directing for cameras and stuff. So I like to watch foreign cinema too.
Okay. All right. Now, your 1996 film, The Watermelon Woman, celebrated its 20-year anniversary last year. How does it feel that people are still engaging with your work 2 decades later?
I must say it feels amazing. I just came from a screening in Omaha, and the audience were about 200 people there, which I was amazed to come out and not see this on a device. So that's amazing. And the Q&A afterward was really on. I think, of course, the film, as you said, was the first African-American lesbian narrative film to get lens attention and media attention. There were other projects, and in Doc, Michelle Parkerson was before me doing a lot of stuff. But there definitely feels like the conversation is there for what obviously is there and has been talked about for the last 20 years. But people are starting now to talk about interracial relationships. And I get, this is the new question that hasn't come to me in all my lectures and stuff over the last 21 years. What were you trying to say about the dynamic interracially between Diana, the white woman, played by Guinevere Turner, and Cheryl, played by Cheryl. Your critique, as well as a critique within the narrative of the photography that's presented. So I feel good that that's something, people are wanting to talk about now.
Yeah, that's just, I imagine it's really rewarding just to know that people are still finding new ways to connect with it, new things to love about the work, so long after the fact. People who weren't, some people maybe not even been alive, when you released it. So must be a beautiful feeling. So, as you said, it broke ground, as for like Black queer women in film. And these days, we see a lot about gay men. We see a little less about queer women, but we hardly see anything about Black queer women and what that experience is like. Personally, I can't really recall any instances or many where the Black queer woman wasn't, partnered with a white woman or there to turn on a sexually curious male character, or even being predatory in some way towards.
I'm going to stop you right there because we can do that on the radio. Lena Waithe just won Booze for an episode about her coming out and her family with strong Black women. I mean, we are here now. We are here now.
Very true. Very true.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's big. That's not just, me going around to festivals and getting awards. That's like, some real stuff. Angela Bassett was up in that, right? So I feel like it's in the mix. We have woken up to include.
And so, yeah, I guess it's been like a slow journey to this point. Like you kind of been at the forefront, definitely one of the people pushing for this visibility over the last few years. Do you see more of this coming? Are there other younger Black queer, filmmakers that you have your eye on, or that, have work people need to know about, that can help kind of further these conversations and increase its visibility?
As I've been there's a lot of new makers and shows and stuff like that over the last couple of years, and I promote those works that if I get my eyes on them, I would say that there's a lot of, again, I haven't been to, like the Watermelon Woman didn't tour every festival again, so I haven't seen some of the sort of local works that are coming out of different communities, which I think is the most important thing. That's where I started. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would encourage people, especially anybody trying to, jump into the game, is make a short. Don't go ahead. I'm going to make my, episodic 4, 5, 6 part thing. Just make a short 10-minute film and then submit that to festivals and get that weight. So then when you do apply or kickstart or whatever you need to do for some bigger money to really do your project or, get visibility, you could say at least, I was in a festival, a little bar, the little leaf. Just put that there, it means something. So I would encourage short filmmaking as a way to jump in. Not a trailer, not a teaser, a short, complete film.
Yeah.
How does teaching, you've gotten to this point, I guess, of being a professor now, how does teaching make you a better filmmaker, teaching cinema in particular?
That's the class I teach, short filmmaking. So I really believe and have worked that strategy and plan, which I was sort of introduced to at the beginning of my career, right before The Watermelon Woman. I did a short film called Greetings from Africa with Good Machine, which was run, the Start Company, and the friendship and collaboration of James Seamus and Ted Hope. Now we know where they went with their stuff. Ted now is the head of Amazon Studios, and James is just getting back into production after having run Focus Features. But their tip to me was make a short film. Start small. And I was like, no, I want to do The Watermelon Woman. Da, da, da. And they were like, nope, I'm sorry. You have to do this. And I was like, okay. And I went out and did this short, and I went with it, and I saw the world. It toured a lot, especially having those people behind it. So that has become a class that I teach, right? Yeah. Short filmmaking and how it can be used to get into film festivals and how it can be used to launch something deeper and get your mind, ready and complete. Again, I want people to complete things.
Yeah. As a screenwriter myself, I think one of the things, I think that's excellent advice as far as starting small and starting with something succinct like a short film. But I guess one of the things that probably our listeners, as far as people that are aspiring to create content within this space, I guess one of the things that they always wonder is how do they find, or how did you find the village to help you create, your short film? You know what I mean? Like, how did you go about finding the people to connect with and build a network to allow your vision to become into fruition?
Well, a lot of my work is personal, so I just turn the lens on my group of friends, and, my style is, especially with my shorts, is completely, different than what I do with my feature work, right? Yeah. Inside does not look like, She Don't Fade, where the talking heads pop up and this and that. Though I like to play with form. So I think playing with form is something that you can do, and work within do work, not your own work, especially people who are inspiring to be shooters. Shoot as much stuff as you can for free. You get a rep. And even if you're a writer,
write for free,
shorter stuff, Yeah. I think that's something. And nobody thinks about writing shorts, do they? Everybody's writing
No.
Everybody's a feature and episodic. Write a short and say, I just want to write. I don't want to make it. Who here as a director wants to make it? So I would say, that's one thing that could be done,
Okay.
for people to start. Like, get somebody to write your short.
Yeah. Then
go shoot it. It's fine. Don't worry that you didn't write and direct it, but you directing it and you produced it maybe. So, you got to think out of your own box about how to get it done, especially with your skill sets. And I think people need to know is the most important thing. And a thing that was so wonderful about working on Queen Sugar, as well, and all my other works, is collaboration. It's not you alone, You don't have to carry the bags. You should let anybody in who wants to come in, that can do things, have a skill set, especially one that's not your strongest suit.
Yeah. Yeah. Learn to delegate and learn to collaborate. That's the life's blood of a creative.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that is a common topic among creatives is seeking out professional representation. That's a major concern for a lot of us as writers, as filmmakers, as, creatives. And we know that you signed with Echo Lake Management earlier this year. So coming from that perspective, what are some things that as Black creators that you should look for and keep in mind when pursuing representation?
Creating a visible vitae of having your work screened and having completion and having visibility and, being your own biggest fan and getting your stuff out there. From the smallest film festival, something at a cafe or local bar, strip club, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? But I definitely think getting your, work out there outside of your, computer and having other eyes on it and naming that something and putting that on the page is what really is important.
That is big.
You can call anything a screening as long as people are there and showing up. So that's where you can get creative.
That is definitely real because it's
your material and they're looking over at the agent and manager and, they're not going to know blah, 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 Atlanta Cafe, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying forge anything, but actually, make more opportunities happen for yourself. I mean, just think about it. Your own publicity now, and you're doing it for free, and you have to be your biggest fan. So I would say that many more acts of you having to do it free, you giving it away for free, not making money, have to happen for at least 1 or 2 years before you step into the arena of maybe even film festival or big film festival, and that's where you'll find your agent and manager.
Real. Thank you for that.
Urban World right now, if you had a short in Urban World, I'm sure there's some agents and managers who went to those screenings and all these little companies that are internet companies, this and that, looking at work and wanting to talk to you.
Real. And that's great to keep in mind because I know a lot of us, we see the end result, we see the award shows and we see the, the insecure, but we don't think about, all of the tiny little things that it take or the tiny little steps that it took to get to that end result or all the little actions along the way that led to this great, result that people love and are celebrating. So definitely.
Don't go for the top, go for the bottom and come all the way up. You need to do the work anyway, since it's something new probably to a lot of people, if you're not in film school. And I also say that film school, a graduate program, if you have your MFA and now if you have a BA or whatever, do some work because you have to apply with a work sample and maybe even have it screened, especially if you are coming into filmmaking and you didn't do it as an undergrad. But think about it. If you go to a state college like San Francisco State and there are other state schools that have MFA programs, for what? $20,000 a year, you have access to equipment? And get to make your work, maybe even less than that if you have grants and stuff like that. So let's say $20,000 in 2 years, and you could have like changed everything for yourself.
Yeah.
$40,000. Now think about what you spend right now on $40,000 of not trying to get it done right. So I would say people, or even, it could be even less than that for people. I must say, I think state, it's about, with graduate loans and stuff like that, something about like $10,000-ish a year. And you have all that equipment, you have all those eyes, you have those access, and you have motivation to keep going and keep, building the story that you're trying to tell, the way to tell your stories. Right. So I would encourage people to really look into, like, if you can't get it together because you're distracted in your own environment, going to, some sort of university or school or, whatever that's local, even at the community centers, even on these smaller ones, like we have BAAAACK here, nonprofits, and, getting it out of your head and your body again, being healthy about it.
Real. Thank you. Now, of course, there's been much press about the fact that every episode of season 2 of Queen Sugar has been directed by a woman, with Ava saying that she wanted to make a pretty radical statement and give these women, some of whom hadn't directed television before, a chance to be great. And so you came along and directed the wonderful To Usward, episode 202. Now, as someone who's been pushing to have all women or predominantly Black and brown and queer crews since the start of your career, what's it like producing this type of art and this type of in such a supportive, empowering environment? Like, and how rare is that for you?
Wow, that's a great question, and I'm blessed to have worked on Queen Sugar and Ava connecting for allowing me and getting me on to make such a great episode. And actually did episode 211 as well. I would say that because I make queer women of color work, and because I turn on my family and use my fams to do it, I'm always in that environment. It's those environments where, to a degree, right, smaller scale shorts and things like that. Everybody on my crew is queer, woman, a person of color. Even actually my staffing and the way that I wanted to do Stranger Inside with HBO, Maud Nadler and my producer, Effie Brown, and Michael Stipe was on that project as well. But I said, I really want to be able to shoot this the way that I want to do it. I want to have women, lesbian, gays, that's what we call ourselves then, or people of color as keys to all my departments. And I want a woman shooter. I want all this energy around to make this women in prison film right. So that was already a way that I knew how to make work. And I was just so blessed that Queen Sugar being on that set was a continuation of that. It makes your work better. It makes your work easier when you're working in this environment. Kira Kelly, amazing DP, Black woman DP, showrunner Monica Mercer on my episode, art director, Ina Mayhew, Black woman, my editor, Shannon Davis, Black woman. So I was like, damn, 202, right? Okay. It was so great. I couldn't have, that's the way I want to make work, right? So here's this model happening and it's like, ooh, this is excellent. This is the way it should be. Even Dawn Lynn commented about like she couldn't. It was so weird at first in first season having to she just turned around and looked and was like, there's only been women directors, and having noticed that in first season, so she was just like the cast just responds differently as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. It's great.
Do you get a different type of storytelling having women play such key roles in this production? Is the storytelling more tender? Are there more nuance? Is it more nuanced? Do you see a difference in the type of work that's being produced in that environment?
Well, Queen Sugar, the story of Queen Sugar, that the writers have worked on for the show, as well as a book. I'm friends with Natalie, and I'm actually going to do a Lit Quake thing at the Alamo Draft House in San Francisco on October 8th with her, and she wrote the novel Queen Sugar, and is a local person here. So shout out to her for creating such a story about inner storytelling, the inner dialogues and the intricacies of that. And I think the show really incorporates that. And I think people who are best equipped to do that kind of storytelling and giving it a visual justice are women and women of color when it's of color story too. I think that even adds an extra vavoom. So yeah, I think, that's what I think. Yeah.
Now we got to ask this question, Cheryl. Do you have a favorite character on the show?
No. I'm just trying to think through all them. I think, I think Dawn Lynn's character is amazing. I feel, all the parts of all the women. I mean, I feel like Nova, a lot of the time. All of those characters and actors who portray them are great. So I must say, actually, Aunt Vi is a great character that I really like.
Shout out to Aunt Vi.
Tina Lifford does. I can't even. I'm amazed at working with Tina Lifford. She's just so brilliant. She encapsulates her character and story tells with her body and the movement that she does, which is acting really well. She read me once when we were shooting. She was like, I was like, do this and that and this and whatever. And she was like, Cheryl, that's acting. I was like, okay. All right, okay. And I was like, okay.
I got this.
I got this. And that's the one thing you realize too. You are a director. You're not an actor. You're not an editor. You're a director. Well, you're editing in your head as you're shooting, but you're definitely stay in your camp and do what you do best.
Yeah. How did you become involved in this project, Queen Sugar?
That's so fun. So that year I got the Guggenheim. I also became a member of the Academy. I was the first group of Negroes that they brought in en masse, just opened the gates and let a few run in quickly.
The original Extraordinary
Negroes.
Negroes.
This year too, but I was in that first wave of wild Negroes running. So I got in and I was like, oh, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm moving in the space of whatever. So I go to these screenings. And so I went to a screening of the 13th and Ava showed up at the reception. And I was like, I walked over to Ava and I was like, Ava. And she was like, Cheryl. And I was, we started chatting. I go, well, tell me about Queen Sugar. And she goes, do you want to direct? And I look around and I go, yeah, of course. And at that point, I heard about the show. I hadn't seen anything, but then I went and, looked at the whole, first season, as we call it, binging. And I binged out on that. And it's like, whoa, this is amazing, and dug deep with it. So fast forward, at the Sundance Film Festival, being I would say a replacement for Barry Jenkins at this thing called Cinema Convergence, which is about cinema, people who run art houses.
Yeah.
And as I say, I was a replacement for Barry because, of course, he was getting big, but I think they only chose us because we have similar glasses.
The glasses get you every time.
Just the glasses get, I gotta have somebody that has the same kind of glasses as Barry, whatever. But so there, I was hanging out Sundance, and I'm hanging at this reception, and you'll like this because it ties in with an earlier question. And I get a message, an email from Ava saying, do you want to direct 2 episodes? Send me back the name of your reps. We'll get this moving. And I was like, I looked around the room, jumped a bit, and I go, are there any reps in the house? I mean, I'd been out of it for quite some time. The last time I said it was in the game was like in 2004 or 5. Maybe jumped in a little bit more in the sense of playing, that Hollywood feel in like 2007, 9 when I did 10 when I did the Owls. But really, I was focusing on teaching. I've been teaching a lot here at San Francisco State, as well as I was at California College of the Arts, teaching in their film program. So when that happened, I was like, okay, let me find somebody to cover these classes that I started. And boom, I just went and did the thing, and then went back in June, and did the thing again.
Wow.
And that's where the agents and reps came, because I was just like, I don't have that anymore. But upon the release of my name, and in the way that Ava is a master of it, is press and getting eye attention through all platforms.
Yeah.
Yes,
Managers reached out to me, boo. They reached out. And so I had a little, I had to make some choices. And I feel like I landed in a really, a great mix of what I need right now in my career to, jump back in. And, wonderful things are happening, I must say. Again, I'm going off to do The Fosters. I just got an episode of Claws. I'm about
Nice.
to, with the Insecure folks.
Hey.
I mean,
Wow.
There's places for us to go and work, and people who are in those positions, like Ava, like Issa, like Waith, also, all and are doing it the way they want to, right? And so there's work. Let there be work.
There is work. Whew. Now, when we last saw the Bordelons, Charlie, your favorite, was finding her footing still as a mill owner and as a recently divorced woman. Ralph Angel had kept it real with Darla and decided to put a ring on it. And Nova had finally got some good loving from a supportive soul brother. Can you tell us anything about what is on the horizon for the Bordelons?
I can't tell you any details, but I must say that a lot of the past in characters' lives will come to the present. So some of the suitcases that they were carrying in on the show will either materialize as people or will materialize as something that everybody has to go through emotionally. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I would think about those people are going to, those type of suitcases are going to come off and forward.
Okay, so we got some demons coming out of closets.
People, I mean, you can look up and see who the cast brought in second season, and those people play parts. I mean, everything is on Google. Google it. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Well, I will consult the Googles and see who's about to pop up as somebody's love interest.
Right.
Mental note: consult the Googles.
Right, or maybe not love interest. There's other ways that people come forward. So that's my second give out of people's pasts. So it's fun. No, it's many important. I mean, my episode 211 has some real, a major question that I want. I've always wanted America to converse about and deal with, and I'm looking forward to the reaction from viewers when that conversation happens.
Shit, me too.
Right, because that's what I think it's great about Queen Sugar. It's really putting the conversation out there, visually told, beautifully told.
Yeah.
It was made in the right way. And so when people see it, they feel it, they really feel it. And we need to feel what's so wonderful about Queen Sugar and many of the other shows that are by African-American women, large African-American women content, that those issues are coming forward. And by being able to see people deal with them, we're able to deal with them ourselves differently.
Yeah, yeah.
And because that's the culture of us as African Americans. We looked at all that white imagery and we got all fucked up. Right? Excuse my French. So we're starting to look at people like us in narratives, even in novels. Because, some people still read. And there's, especially in media, seeing those images out there on what you can, again, you guys did something on Insecure, which I'm going to take a look at. It looks great. But with Queen Sugar, with Greenleaf, with, just it's starting to grow. I know there's more coming.
It is. It feels like a good time. Like a lot of great Black media being produced, a lot of great work, with Black writers and directors and just people putting out great stuff into the world. It definitely is a good time.
Yeah, because I think it's a part about changing your who we are and by what we see. Right? So if we're looking at Blackness as successful and not as thug or, prostitute or whatever we're portrayed as, or body in the wood.
Yeah.
We need to see Black people living. And so we can live. I mean, how did you learn how to do certain things in your life? Outside of your, seeing it in your family. Like, people learn about sex and sexuality by what they see characters perform in all the shows or media that we read. We read those messages subliminally or straight up, right? So if we see at least Black people doing those things, being queer, being whatever they are, trans, being, empowered woman, empowered Black man who, dialoguing together, then we are able to envision and perform those things.
I love it. it's like it's just it's sad that it's rare. And so for me, kind of revolutionary, just the fact that we get to see the mundanities of like just Black life, just being regular as Black people, you know, on Atlanta, just walking up and down and just being regular folks and living life. Like it sucks
amazing. I mean, that show, yes, that show is so, it's a laugh out loud show for me. I mean, and it feels so much like Blackness at this moment.
Yeah. It feels Black. Yes.
It feels Black. And that, you know, that goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because a lot of times it's very easy to discern something that feels Black versus something that is disguised as Black. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's nice whenever we're behind the scenes and able to cultivate these environments and this art.
And I love that you're dealing with mental health because Black feeling is the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and bringing that into the mix with your work, that you have to feel Black and empowered to be empowered.
Oh, that's a word.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all listening at home, make sure y'all tweet that, quote that, tweet that, and at Cheryl.
Right?
That's a good
one. All right,
one.
now you're currently working on your next feature, Black is Blue, based on your short film of the same name. How have you grown as a filmmaker since The Watermelon Woman?
Oh, wow. That's great. Thanks for that question. I must say a lot. Being a director and a writer-director, it takes years before you get behind the camera again the way that you want to make a feature, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta write it, you gotta, you know, market that around to get the money for the script, then you have to make it. I mean, that for some people, that's, again, 10 years, right? So being able to direct and use the tools of directing and the way that, you know, is telling a big feature narrative is what's really changed for me. And so I must say, every episodic that I get to do and get to use those tools, I'm growing as a filmmaker. And so I'm blessed to be able to use those sort of bigger tools, the tools that I'm ready to, you know. I had some big tools also when I did My Baby's Daddy, which was quite a big growth point for me. Outside of Stranger, it was a big budget film, and everything that you wanted possible could be there and was there in the sense of equipment and skill set and crew that was needed. And it was so great to feel that and see that and be able to, you know that that's one of a big way to get it done. So wanting to kind of make films that way is what I'm holding out for with Black is Blue. The script has been written, but I want to have the right tools to tell that story because it's a very important story. It's a story of do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. They can quote that on Twitter too.
Right? It's a story of, so in the short, Black, the main character, trans man living in his car as a security guard. When he was a woman, his name was Blue. And in the short, Black runs into an ex and her, you know, friends after a party, and she, you know, talks to him, but it's coming up about being a Black lesbian who transitioned to a Black man. So people love that and love that story, but I had to then jump, and what I like to do is dig deep. So I really dug deep into cinema and, you know, looking at more current issues that are happening here in Oakland. I live 2 blocks away from Ghost Ship. I'm in the Fruitvale section. I know OPD and all those sort of stories and what like is happening with gentrification and people just being pushed out. We have big problems here. And then the tech world is here. And there's such an ignorance around any of those issues in the tech world. So will Blacks ever get in? Will queer people ever get in? Not really. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to, and I also am tired of telling stories about now completely. I want to look at us a little bit in the future. Yeah. We need to, again, if we're going to feel that we can survive, we need to see what we look like in the future. Yeah. So that's another thing. So Black is Blue is set in the not too distant future where 2 things have happened to the city of Oakland. There's been a Flint-like flood condition that happens, a flood and loss of water, and the Oakland police are thinking about bringing AI onto the police force. So that's the world it's set in. My main character now is Blue, 2 main characters, Black and Blue. Black, still living on the streets in his car, but he's trying to get in the tech world. He's trying to get work. And he's same story starts the film. But Blue, on the other hand, I've developed her out into a trans woman who, when she was a man, worked with the guy, the white gentleman, you'll find out, who is trying to set up the tech deal with AI on the police force, her ex-partner. When she was a man, she worked with this guy to create the AI. And then when she wanted to transition, he said, hell no. And a big, legal suit happened. She got, paid, and she locked herself up in a mansion in West Oakland and makes that android as a friend bot named Listen. So she's living sort of like, Mrs. Blaylock in a house and everything teched out and trying to, deal with herself and just not wanting to deal with the world, but very technically advanced and has this AI friend bot. So, of course, she lives in this house, and on the street, parked down on the street, is Black. So she's been watching him. And one night, Black comes home, beat up from these witches, and down, it's raining, and then Blue sees this, and she and Listen go down and bring Black in. And if you know your cinema, I'm not going to do any more of this storytelling, but Sunset Boulevard begins. And that's all I'll say, because I'm taking up too much time.
Because y'all got to go out there and go see this.
Right. I can't go through all the beats.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It brings up many of our stories around tech, around getting into, about resistance, about, rights, everything. So that's what I'm waiting for, proper money and the proper way to do.
Yeah.
Right?
This might be something you might want to present. And are you going to Afrotech next month or in November?
I'm not.
Because that might be, that might be something you might want to explore.
Well, let my producer know about that. Send me that information. Definitely. And I think everybody might get a kick out of it. So definitely put that up on your site. I'm sure you will. But yeah, I know it's going to be made. I'm waiting again. So it's been since the short came out, but you can get the short when you buy the new re-released issue of The Watermelon Woman. Because that's the way it has to be done. And I when I go out and pitch it, I say it can't be less than Moonlight, right? That was 1.5. Mm-hmm. It can't be less than that.
Real. That's important.
That, right?
Know your worth.
Know your worth. I mean, that's low, right? So, gift of the gods, as you say. Hopefully I'll get, knock on wood, a little bit more than that to tell that story. And that's a very, important story about now, which I love that all the episodics are really able to talk about the now of Blackness. Great. It really is connecting us again as Black people, because I feel like we have been separated, separate and unequal or equal in our communities, but we have not been connected visually with what's going on and how people respond to it.
I agree. Now, as a personal question, as a resident foodie, we know that the entertainment industry is renowned for its divine eats. So I'm wondering, what is the best meal you've ever had on set?
One late night first meal. No, it was a snack. On the Queen Sugar set, sushi came out.
Yes.
Sushi, late night, we're shooting late into, 10 o'clock or something like that. It was the perfect refresher, for something not too heavy, not too light. I mean, everybody just came in, it was all gone, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then also because Queen Sugar is in New Orleans, there was a chef working at one point who would make these amazing spicy fried chicken tender wings, as well as a vegetarian option too, with jalapeno and honey and stuff on it as a snack. Because your meals are always your meals with every option for everybody's palate, but as a snack that comes out, you only get one or two choices there, and something on the go. There was also some really lovely fresh fruit that came out, presented in very beautiful ways. So I think there's even in that way you could step up and get involved in the entertainment industry if you or a caterer. There's so many ways that people, it's not writer director only. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Great. There's a lot of ends. You can be a makeup artist. You can be a gaffer. You can be all kinds of things.
Even down to being a stand-in. I love the stand-in. They just stood in because of the right complexion and height. And they get paid.
There's something for everybody.
There's something for everybody,
Well, I want to say thank you for stopping through our Extraordinary Negro situation to speak about your career and Queen Sugar and the great things that you have done and have coming up. We have now arrived to the part of the show called the Extraordinary Negroes of the Week, where we each nominate someone who we think deserves some shine or is doing something particularly spectacular or terrible, and we just want to give them a little bit of recognition. So we can go first. I'll let Jay go first if you need more time. Jay, who's your extraordinary?
Yeah, I'll go first so Cheryl can think about who she wants to nominate. But I have a couple. You know, we've been MIA for a minute, so I'm gonna try to steal all of Alex's. But but the first one I want to give is to Cardi B for becoming #1 in the country, the first solo female artist. The first solo female rap artist to have the #1 song in the country since Lawrence Hill. Regardless of how you feel about the song, that is a tremendous accomplishment. So shout out to her for that. The other people that I would like to give my Extraordinary Negroes of the Week is the entire collective. This might be the biggest number of people ever of the Route 100. Shout out to everybody who got nominated. Shout out to all 100 of you niggas that got nominated for the Route 100, because you guys have all been killing it. You know what I mean? Whether it was, you know, the folks over at Inclusive, whether it was Jordan Peele, who was ranked #1, whether it was Beyonce, whether it was, you know, Honey Young, whether it was a lot of first timers on there. So shout out to everybody who got nominated. You know, it's definitely beautiful to see Black people being acknowledged for the hard work and the contributions they make in their various industries. And hopefully one day Alex and I can be amongst your ilk. So thank y'all and keep it up. Now, Alex, I'll let you, out of those 101 people I picked, I guess I'll let you rock.
So I figured you're just going to be a hoe and just take everybody. Okay. Let's see. So I have to make up for lost time. So my first Extraordinary Negro is going to be Saint Amita Jo Jackson, the first of her name, from Gary, Indiana. Janet has recently kicked off her State of the World tour again, and it's going well. She's like 14 or 13 or something shows in, and yeah, she looked great. She sounds great. She looks happy, and you know, everybody who I know who's gone to see the show is like raving about it, and it's just good to see that she's back. She's 51 and she is still killing the motherfucking game out here, and I'm just glad to see that she's still out here doing her damn thing. I also want to give Extraordinary Negro of the Week to Donald Glover.
Hey,
and I'm not who I just think what he's done with Atlanta has been phenomenal. You know, seeing where he's come from, you know, writing for 30 Rock and, you know, being on Community and, you know, what he's done musically, but just Atlanta is just, I just love how it showcases just all areas of Blackness, you know, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows, you know, just the regular shit that we go through and deal with every day. The microaggressions, you know, working alongside white folks, just all the shit that we have to deal with. I love the way they present it in really an engaging, just a cool ass way. So I just love the work that he's doing, and the fact that he just got 2 Emmys for directing and being a lead actor in a comedic series. I'm
going to sit here and pretend like I'm not offended that you stole one of mine, but go ahead. I'm going to let you finish.
Well, he was in the Route 100 as well.
Was.
Oh, well, I wanted to single his ass out individually. So Anyway, Cheryl, who is your Extraordinary Negro of the Week?
Well, I have 2 also, so I'll keep on the 2s. To give it to, you know, foremother of filmmaking, another one, Julie Dash, who is directing the Queen Sugar season.
Yes.
Second half of the second season premiere.
Word.
She just got gig to direct the early activism of a young Rosa Parks as a film.
I saw.
You know, shout out and wonderfulness to all, you know, storytelling and resistance, and just having that moment for Julie. Julie's amazing. I got to, you know, hang with her a bit doing the show, and just amazing. And then my second one, of course, I'm going to just keep it in the Queen Sugar family, is Ava DuVernay.
Yes.
Got on the Variety 500 most influential leader list, you know, this year. Beyond being on the cover of Time Magazine. Time Magazine!
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy.
It's just crazy how starved, and how she's stepped into that place of feeding the starving with some, you know, images that rock. You know, I can't wait for Wrinkle. You know, I can't wait for Wrinkle. right?
It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be
or
so
Panther.
good.
I just was hanging with Ryan, and they should just, give everybody off the, week that the movie comes.
Oh, ain't nobody
Nobody's
going to work.
going to work. Maybe
What
a
Nobody's
month.
going to work.
Give us a month off, but definitely, the day off. It's just
At the very
least, because that's just going to, it's just an explosion just right now.
We still have time to pick out our outfits for Black
Right?
Panther.
It's going to be amazing what this is doing. Again, being able to see ourselves in so many different ways.
Word.
That's how we become, who we are, healthy visually, inside and out.
Yes, yes.
It just expands also just seeing us in all these different types of scenarios. It just expands your realm of possibility, like what you think is either capable for yourself or for, us creatively. So we need more of that for sure.
If you see, say an LGBTQI character of color dealing with something, that might help you deal with your own issues in your house, or flip straight to somebody queer and of color as a character, because there's a few characters out there. I'm not going to say everything is great, but there's more and more coming. That really will help, I think, in particular in the African American community, seeing images of Black, queer, and trans people out there just as normal, not not on your Facebook feed as killed, stuffed in a trash can, etc. So we need to have these living stories of possibility, as you said. Options are good, and we need more options.
Shout out to options.
Really though.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming by here. Where can folks find you and your work online if they want to know more about what you have going on?
Just type in my name. I'm just me on all the platforms. I'm really not complicated.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, or your platform of choice. Hit out theextraordinarynegroes.com for all of our show notes. You can find more of Cheryl's. We'll put some of her links and, her media there so you can find out more about her. We have op-eds and original content and Mental Health Monday each week with content and resources for mental health and emotional wellness. You can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram at The Extra Negroes, and tell a friend or 50. Peace out.